All right, now with the economy doing so well, can Democrats really run against it? Now, I asked presidential candidate Tom Steyer this very question over the weekend. Take a look. But let's leave the politics out of it.
No, we're not.
Is the economy better than it was when Barack Obama left office?
No. Look, Mr. Trump.
I look at numbers all day. And whether you like the president or not, we have record low unemployment levels among all these key Democratic groups. And I'm just wondering, if you were to go to before the American people and say things really stink and the president's made it worse, that's going to be a very tough sell, isn't it?
I don't think so. Look, is it a good economy if the economy grows, but the money goes to only the rich people? Is it a good economy? We have low.
Is it a good economy if you have record low unemployment among Hispanics, African Americans? How are you going to make that?
If you have low unemployment, but you can't live on the jobs.
All right. Now, Tom Steyer then later had this to say on the campaign trail right after that. Take a look.
I did this morning on Fox News. No kidding. I think the guy's name is Neal Cavuto, and he basically said that. You can't beat him. The economy is crushing. And I said, oh, baloney, Neal. Mr. Trump has now said that he is going to balance the budget, Joyce, by going after entitlements. What does that mean? Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And I said, Neal, you think that's a good deal for working Americans, that rich people get a tax cut and it gets paid for by their health care? That is a terrible deal, or their Social Security. And that's when Neal said, we're going to commercial. Look, do I think that Neal Cavuto has a leg to stand on? I know he doesn't.
Well, first of all, we didn't just go to commercial. And secondly, I don't position my interviews to do anyone's bidding on the right or the left. On the argument we made then in the interview, and I think it was pretty clear, is if you're running against the President of the United States, an economy like this, whether you find those jobs really good jobs or not, you've got an uphill battle. So that's not carrying anyone's water. Having said that, though, you're welcome for coming on the show. That's our Steyer. All right. In the meantime, we have the American Institute for Economic Research President Edward Stringham and New York Post editorial board member Kelly Jane Torrance. Kelly Jane, I was just grateful you got my name right.
Any publicity is good publicity,
yeah,
right?
But this argument is a tough one, the silliness of it notwithstanding, that it is. And you can make an argument, are all these jobs the best jobs they could be? There are more of them. There are record numbers of them. And it's a tough sell in an election year to face an opponent overseeing a strong economy, whether you like the guy or not.
You're right, Neal. And I have to say, I watched the full interview that you did with Tom Steyer, and he was doing his best to avoid answering your questions. So his way of describing it is a little different than what I saw on TV. But
we showed you the actual quotes in the beginning report, but go ahead.
But no, and as you say, it's not just a great economy with low unemployment and record low numbers for groups like Hispanics, African Americans. We're also seeing most of the gains, the wage gains, have really gone to the bottom percent of people. The bottom percent, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think it's about the bottom 20% has seen much better wage growth than people at the top. So yes, of course, there's always more work to be done in working towards equality, but the gains that we have seen for people who are, for example, not college educated, people with just a high school degree, we've seen great gains under this economy. And I think you have to be honest and figure out what you're going to do that's different, that's going to be better. And you can't just say, well, the economy is great, but I'm just going to ignore that.
It's a tough sell if you are in that position, whether you're Republican or Democrat. I can remember Mitt Romney had a devil of a time trying to make the argument that things were worse in 2012 than they were in 2008 when he was taking on Barack Obama, because they were better. Now, whether you wanted to give the president at the time the credit for that, we were well off the basement floor from that. So I get that it's very tough to do, but you can't reinvent history here. The reality is you're fighting a guy, whether you like him or not, who's overseeing a pretty strong economy.
That's exactly right. We've got deregulation, tax cuts leading to more investment in the economy. A lot of people said, oh, that's just going to help the corporations, just going to help the rich. But Kelly Jane is 100% right. We can see this showing up in record low unemployment rates among all demographic groups, among minorities.
So how do you think it resonates? Certainly with the base, it says the quality of the jobs aren't there, you say?
Oh, I mean, Among all groups, wages have been going up over the past few decades, and there's just this story, I think it's fiction, it's make-believe, oh, we're all worse off, we're all poor, we need to bring back the 1970s. The data, the economic data just don't show it. We're actually happy. We have more money now, and that's a good thing.
And I think consumer spending shows that too. I mean, we had a record holiday we just came off of. New home starts are right up there. I think the average American seems to be feeling pretty good. And so if I'm Tom Steyer and I have an economic plan that would drastically change that, I would worry about how to present that to the American people.
He
and
did
get
say
them
something that was very interesting to play off something that really was not a focus of the interview, that being generous with those tax cuts for whomever has, robbed entitlements of the protection that they need. And furthermore, the president to even talk about reining their growth in is tantamount to abandoning folks.
These entitlement programs have always been actuarially unsound. They were promised.
But both parties say it, but it's like a third rail. They don't want to touch it.
Well, we've got to address this at some point.
Do you think the president, if he were to be reelected, would?
I think this is one area where I have been disappointed. His spending has not been under control. So I like the tax cuts, but I think he really needs to get the spending problem under control.
Well, good luck with that, right?
$1 trillion deficit right now, and it's.
But both parties are in glass houses on this subject.
Exactly.
Right?
George W. Bush raised deficits in the debt. So did Barack Obama. This is something because it is so easy to kick it down the road, and no politician wants to say, hey, you know what? Let's be real here. We can't afford this anymore. You are about to retire. You'll be okay. But you know what? Let's raise the age for other people. I mean, people do not like that idea, and it's very unpopular. But I would give kudos and maybe a Peace Prize to someone who recognized it. Because how are we going to afford this? Exactly.
Peace Prize.
Maybe a bit much.
We didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you all very, very much. And again, I'm stating the obvious here. We don't do anyone's bidding here. We ask the questions that you would ask. How do you fight an incumbent where the economy is this good? Just as we would say the same and ask the same of Barack Obama surrogates when he was running for re-election. It is what it is, whether you like what you're hearing or not. More after this.